Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for another round of Master Phil in your corner.
Yeah!
With your host, Master Phil.
Yeah! All right. Wow. So here I am, Master Phil in your corner. It's been a couple weeks since we did a podcast. We've been a little busy doing some crazy things going on out there. Some things I got to keep under wraps for another few weeks, but we'll bring them to the forefront in our podcast in the future. But here I am, as always, with my partner in crime, Dougie Fresh Friedman, at the
Thank you.
Undefeated Media Studios. And just before we get into that was a nice feature you had on 201 Magazine.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah, actually, we got a nice little plug there, a little Master Phil plug.
Yeah, I can pull that up if you want.
It's pretty awesome. Yeah, might not be a bad thing for the audience to see.
Yeah, check it out.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate the shout
flipping
out.
around.
Yeah.
All right, look at that.
It's coming.
Oh, geez, what happened?
Share the screen. Got to share the screen here.
Oh, we got to do everything, huh?
Wasn't ready for the shout out, but thank you,
know,
Phil.
man.
I appreciate
always
that.
Always
There you
thinking.
go. Thank
So
you.
there you go. There's Doug Friedman over in 201 Magazine feature article. Pretty awesome.
And if you look in the bottom right corner of the first page, we mentioned Master Phil here.
Hey,
and
page
the
one,
wonderful
man.
thing he's doing. Yeah.
Talking about some wonderful things that we're doing. Today's podcast, we have a very special guest here, Jason Neef. He's from the Kick Site program. And what we're attempting to do here is bring martial arts to the forefront as an essential business. It's funny because I got a phone call from a good friend of mine. It came up on my phone, the legend. I'm like, it can only be Frank. So, of course, Frank Shamrock, the legend, MMA legend in the martial arts. If you're an MMA, you don't know who he is, you don't know anything about MMA. So Frank called me up, told me about this guy, Matthew Shapiro, was involved in putting together a group to promote martial arts becoming essential business. Well, I spoke with Matthew, and we started speaking, going back and forth. You know, he had a Zoom meeting, so forth. And he told me that I need to speak with Jason about doing a podcast, coming on to Master Phil in your corner. So without any further ado, I want you to give a nice, hearty Master Phil welcome to Jason Neef from Kicksite. Come on in, Jason. All right. So Jason, you're out in the Kansas City area, huh?
Just south of Kansas City, and it's a privilege to be here, guys. Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to talk about the topic at hand. But yeah, we're out in Kansas City and enjoying some great fall weather at the moment. We'll take it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I mean, you know what you guys are doing, this initiative that you've taken on, you know, it takes a lot of guts, something that needs to be done in my estimation, you know, and let's talk about how we're this and what the process is, and then eventually we'll say how people can get involved and how you can help. But you know, not everyone may know all the benefits of being in condition. You know, martial arts is fitness for your mind, your body, and how it helps against COVID and other diseases. Something that many people don't know, and I'm sure you know this, but I'm going to throw a couple stats out there, give you a little springboard here, is that over 300,000 people a year die in this country due to the direct result of a sedentary lifestyle. You know, only 20% of all people in this country meet the minimum required amount of exercise. That's the minimum. And the minimum required amount of exercise is 150 minutes a week of mid-tier exercise, like walking around the block or something. And if you look at this is also a shocking statistic that sedentary lifestyle has surpassed smoking as the number one preventable cause of death in this country. And you know, the things that people don't realize is that if you look at the comorbidities associated with COVID, they're all they're almost exclusively around being obese, being out of condition, uh, you know, the list goes on, and all of this can be addressed by boosting your immune system, exercise, proper eating, being at a proper, nothing like Marshall. Jason, here's the ball. Run with it.
Yeah, Master Phil, you did a great job of kind of teeing it up. And you're absolutely right. And those stats you just shared, they're alarming. Can you guys hear me okay? Can you hear?
Yes, we hear you 100% fine.
So I guess what I would add to that, those stats should hit everybody right square between the eyes. And none of this is new, right? This is all pre-COVID statistics. We've known about these underlying health conditions, right? And we've been a society, a country that largely has ignored its health. And right now, it's hitting us square in the face because people with underlying health conditions are the most at risk should they get COVID. So while we may have said, we're going to take a pill for that, we're going to ignore these things we know are important, in this environment, we are paying for that ignorance. And so if ever there's a time, and I know we talked offline before we jumped in, you've lived a healthy lifestyle and you continue to do so into your upcoming birthday, and you're benefiting from that commitment. We're just, as a country, we have got to wake up and quit thinking we're going to take a pill to fix things. Your health has never been more important than it is right now.
And it's not just the physical health, Jason. We're also talking about the mental health. If you look at exercise is in many, there have been many studies conducted that exercise also helps with your mood, helps regulate the serotonin in your brain so that we don't have to have people on these SSRIs, these selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, which, you take those long enough, the body doesn't produce its own serotonin, so it can't self-modulate.
Let's talk about that, Master Phil, because you just touched on a subject. I think the health attributes of, and it's kind of coming back to the topic at hand, right? Martial arts businesses should be essential. We talked about the benefits physically. We know there's certainly a ton of those. One area that is becoming a real big problem is the mental health of people in this environment. So let's go back to March. When this all hit, people were, me included, you included, every part of the country, we were forced into quarantine and forced into self-isolation. And you mentioned Matt Shapiro. Matt Shapiro is the director of the National Association of Mental Illness chapter in New York, which is the largest mental health chapter, or NAMI chapter, if you will, in the entire country. If he were on this call, he would be the first to tell you suicide rates are skyrocketing. Depression rates are skyrocketing. Why? Because people are isolated. And one of the best things to do is be around other like-minded people. So one of the attributes, and you run a school, you know it firsthand, people need to be around other people. They need to be taking care of themselves physically, but we are largely ignoring the mental health benefits. Kids aren't going to school. Kids can't participate in activities. This is a rampant problem, and it's kind of an unintended consequence of trying to protect people. They're now facing all these issues mentally due to the isolation that we've all been faced with since March.
Yeah, you bring up suicide is up. General depression is up. Malaise is up. I mean, there are so many the divorce rate has gone up. People are just, they're fighting with each other. People don't have purpose. See, here's the thing. Human beings need purpose, and we're also social animals. So here you've taken two major concepts, two major attributes to humans, and robbed them, denied them of it. So here you can't be social, you can't see your friends, you can't even see your family. Okay, I mean, my mother-in-law passed in March, not due to COVID, to another horrible illness. We couldn't even have a funeral for her. I mean, there's no comforting. You can't hug people. You can't train with people. There's so many things that are taken away from us, and not to mention the fact that you're isolated. kept away from people. And then what happens to the ability to train? I mean, look, it's very tough to be motivated when you're alone. I mean, okay, we're doing Zoom class, doing virtual training. That's okay. It's great, but that's not enough. We're social creatures. Society was built on us with each other. And you know what? If you're isolated from people and you don't have a purpose because you're not supposed to be working because you don't have an essential business, what is going on? How is that helping people beyond the initial, hey, let's understand, support it in the beginning. Let's lock down. Let's try to get this thing under control. But hey, you know what? It's gone too far.
Yeah. And Master Phil, you make a good point. I'll use my own family as an example. I've got a child in junior high, another one in high school, and a third in college. Every single one of them was eager to go back to school. And in one instance, my son, who's in high school, they started going back, hybrid. Part of the time they were remote, part of the time they were in class, wearing masks, distancing. And I'll tell you what, at that age, you don't want to be in school. You want to go do other. He was hopeful that they would eventually all come back, which they are now, all back in school. He is relishing the opportunity to go to school. I mean, did you ever think you'd hear that? But that goes hand in hand with what you just said. That just goes to show we are social creatures. And when you're void of that for an extended amount of time, even when you're at an age that you hate school, you will embrace the opportunity to be around other people. 100% agree. I've seen it in my own household. I've seen it in our company. It's important.
Yeah, and yes, and your house and your company are no different than anybody else. I mean, but the people who came back to my school and started training again are so thankful that we're able to be together and get some training in. You've been starved from this. You need the human interaction. I mean, heck, at points we couldn't, I couldn't even hug my mother because we're afraid, she's in her 80s. We're afraid, gosh, we can't hug her. We got to stay away from her. She wants to hug my little daughter. She's unable to do it. But now we can, but for months she can't. And that's not healthy. And then you have to look at the other side of this. How are we going to address this moving forward? Because this could easily happen again. And how do we change people's perspective on this? How do we go in here? How do we get to the people and say, hey, you know what? We have to really embrace a healthy lifestyle. I've been screaming about it for decades. But how do we do you think that this is going to be the one situation that has made people wake up, or are we going to fall apart? And what do you think, Jason?
Yeah, well, it kind of brings me, there's a few things that we see as reasons why martial arts should be an essential business. It's a necessary service, and you're living it. You're out there on the front lines helping people in these two instances we just mentioned. There is a third one to bring forward as we're talking about this. It's personal safety. We are in such a hypercharged environment right now, between the isolation, between all the different restrictions and the health issues and the deaths. And then you bring in racial injustices that have happened and the rioting. I mean, it's a difficult environment. And so the other piece that martial arts brings forward is personal safety. That's a big component to this. People right now they don't feel safe. And so what do people do? They buy guns. The other thing that, if you look at the stats, gun purchases have gone up exponentially. That's not even a word that does it justice. It's gone up so dramatically. And it's because people don't have any other options. They want to protect themselves. They may not be considering martial arts, so they're buying weapons. That isn't helping the cause anymore either. So we've got this kind of trifecta of things all happening at once. And in my life, I've lived enough years to see a lot of things. I've never seen anything like it the past 7 months. And so that's kind of the platform on which we're standing.
Yeah.
martial arts offers so many benefits on so many levels that to suggest that I'm going to use you as an example, Master Phil, right? You're committed to your health. You're committed to providing an environment where people can feel like they're part of a family. They can train with one another and feel good about themselves. And you're equipping them to handle themselves if they're ever in a circumstance that they don't feel safe. And here's the worst part. You're in New Jersey, and they're telling you, New York, New Jersey, California, parts of Chicago, your business shouldn't be open. We're going to let the liquor store down the road be open because that's essential. But what you do, it boggles my mind that you are not able to provide a service that is far more valuable than buying vodka at the corner liquor store. And it ticks me off. You can probably sense in my voice and in my body language that it's wrong. And that's why we're on the forefront of doing something about it.
Yeah. Well, Jason, you bring up some awesome points because it's wrong on every level. Okay. If you look at it, you have liquor stores open, you have, Target open, you have all Walmart, all these places open where people are constantly moving in and out. Where you go to a fitness facility, guess what? If you're worried about contact tracing, well, I know who's in my class when. We have records of that. They have to sign up for the class prior to attending. So if, God forbid, somebody is sick, well, guess what? I know who was in that class. They'd be contacted immediately. The other thing is that none of these government officials have yet proven to me, shown either empirical or scientific data that the transmission of COVID in a fitness environment is any greater than outside. Okay. There was only one study that was done, and that was done in Sweden. And they took 7,000 people. So the end value was 7,000, and 3,500 did just stayed at home, lockdown, so forth. 3,500 went to the gym 5-6 days a week. There was zero difference in the infection rate between the two, and no one who was working out in that group that worked out died from COVID. And there were people up to 60s included in that group, from the 20s to 60s. So, these things are categorically ignored by our media, by our government, especially, I'd say in the blue states. It's being categorically ignored. And again, show me the data that shows that working out in the gym is more infectious. Okay, I'll tell you, I have HEPA filters in my studio. I have the virus-killing lights. We mop and clean between every single class. Every class. Surfaces are done. The floors are done. That's between every single class. People walk in, they say it smells like a hospital. Okay, so you know what? We'll take care of ourselves. And I'll tell you what, I've been open since June. First we were training outside, and then we went together. And not one person has been infected. Not one.
And let's talk about another distinction. And you have a gym. The other advantage is you don't probably have a ton of equipment. You don't have dumbbells. You don't have things people are handling. You don't have 50 treadmills that you got to clean. The martial arts space is so conducive to thorough cleaning, to, as you said, contact tracing through the measures you take with these controlled classes. You can't guarantee safety, but you're certainly far better equipped than a Walmart where people are in and out of that place all day long grabbing stuff. It's just, when you think about it, you step back and you think about the benefits. It's just a shame that the government says to you, Master Phil, you can't train people in your facility. It's not like it's an essential business. There's just no two ways about it. We just need to raise our voices loud enough so people understand why. Because the communities need martial arts right now more than ever. We've been in this for more than a decade, and I've been training since I was 8 years old. I've never seen a moment where the martial arts industry is more important to communities than it is right now.
I can't agree with you more. Again, like you stated, martial arts is really relatively no equipment. And if you have equipment, it's your own stuff. And again, the contact tracing, we have it. It's all readily available. The benefits of health and having a boosted immune system through your exercise and proper nutrition and being a proper weight, they all go hand in hand with the prevention of getting COVID or having very detrimental effect. It's going to lower the of the on the body and the virus. So we have to get the word out there. And what I want to ask you is, how are we doing this, and how can people get involved?
Yeah. We have a massive effort that we're in the midst of. We call it our WIN Initiative. And for those out in your audience, if you go to thewininitiative.com, and if you guys want to throw it up on any of your links, thewininitiative.com, there's a website that explains the initiative and what we're asking people to do. Excuse me, can you guys hear me?
The win or be win?
Is it?
It's the
yes,
win.
Yeah, is it? What's the URL? We're going to put it. The win.
Wininitiative.com.
I thought.
The win
And
initiative.
confirm the address. But can you hear me, Master Phil?
Right.
Put it there right now. Yes,
you got
sir. Yes, sir.
INITIA. You had it right, but there's an I before that, between the T and the A. Just misspelled initiative.
Dougie Fresno. Yeah, his spelling is not as strong.
It's not at all.
Strong, smooth.
More of a visual
video guy here.
Great whipping around the computer. Maybe not so great at the spelling aspect.
Sorry, you need an INITIA.
INITIA.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
INI. No, I'm spell checking them more.
All right. INI.
Yes.
TIATIVE.
That's
Yes.
correct. All right. And this
Should be good now.
Thanks, guys. Thanks.
Initiated. Very good. There we go. So now we passed fifth grade spelling.
Oh,
that's
So what we can do is, we'll make sure this gets out to everyone, get involved. And you don't have to be a martial artist to get involved in this WIN initiative, do you?
No. So let me explain this. When you go to this website, there is a link to sign a petition. And our goal is to have over 100,000 signatures on this petition. So whether you're a student, whether you're an owner, whether you're just a parent or someone who understands the value, by all means, sign the petition. We are taking action on the political front. We had a meeting with Representative Sharice Davids, who not only is a congresswoman, she is also a former martial artist. And third, she actually competed in MMA. And third,
Wow.
on the Small Business Committee in Congress to help support small business owners like you, who unfortunately were forced to close your doors in the most important of times. So we would ask for your audience to please go to thewininitiative.com, sign the petition, support the initiative, and know that we're using these signatures to impress upon Congress and the decision makers at the state and local levels why martial arts is such an essential business now. And this isn't going away anytime soon, guys. Like, I hope we don't have a resurgence. There's predictions that we will.
Yeah.
So we can lock in and be prepared, but there's things we can do, Master Phil, and getting healthy is absolutely one of them, because what we've learned, we've had infectious disease docs on our webinars, and they're telling us, like, people that are healthy, and this is universal truth, but by and large, people that are healthy, they get COVID, they're almost asymptomatic. They don't even know they have it because they're so healthy, they're not down and out. So now is the time we got to do something. Your business needs to be open.
Oh yeah, the thing is also, I mean, I'm gonna throw this out there too. I don't have any scientific data. I just have personal data on this. I've been all over. I've been tested 5 times. Okay, I was in California from March 10th to March 15th. I was in LA, the epicenter. Okay, then I came home. I didn't stay in one. I stayed in one day. I rolled my ankle training, so I had to ice it. So I stayed in one day during the COVID. One day. That's it. I was out training, out doing stuff every single day. I drove up to Maine to see my son. Stopped in New Hampshire, stayed in a hotel, worked out at a hotel gym. Came back, drove to Florida, drove my daughter down to Florida, stopped in the different states and so forth. Was stayed in a hotel room, worked out in the hotel gym, did everything. Came back, got tested, went to the Jersey Shore for the week. Then I went to Florida again, and I got tested each of these times. I didn't get it. You're going to love this one. In January, one of my guys was in California for 3 weeks, came back. We were doing jujitsu. A couple days later, he's sick. He thinks he has the flu, gets tested for the flu, doesn't have the flu. But months later, he and his wife got tested, and they had the COVID antibodies. So I was doing jujitsu with a guy who was infected, yet I did not get it. How many people out there are in my situation? But I'll tell you what, all I know is that I eat right, I take care of myself, I'm in shape, and I'm at a proper weight, and I take my vitamins. So these are all things that we should be talking about on a whole, just as a country. We should be putting this healthy living at the forefront.
Yeah.
And to me, I don't understand why it isn't.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you mind if I make a comment on your perspective as someone who's committed to well? So I guess I would just tell everybody out there, most of your audience could be healthy. Some may not. I would just say, don't let martial arts intimidate you. Don't let this industry, because for some that aren't involved, uber athletic, uber healthy people. But I would say, you won't find a more inviting, family-oriented business environment than a martial arts school. So I would just start by saying, regardless of where you're at health-wise, don't let that dissuade you. Don't let that deter you. And we were just recently down in Orlando for the IBJJF PANS. Sure. Mm-hmm. Can you hear me, Master? Well, I was just commenting. We were down in Orlando for the IBJJF PANS tournament, and there were thousands of people. You're going to be hard-pressed finding a single unhealthy person in that audience. I mean, if ever you want motivation, you walk around, you're like, each person is healthier than the last. It's inspiring. But these guys and women are extremely healthy, and it's inspiring. And not a one of them had any other students that we talked to. Not to say that you're going to be impervious, but taking control of your health, it matters. And I come back to this again, Master Phil. People like you running business like you run, we have seen hundreds of schools go out of business because of this, because they can't open their doors. That has got to stop.
It's sad. I mean, how many friends of mine have had great success? They're incredible instructors, especially the guys who are just BJJ focused, and they've had to shut their doors. It's very difficult to train BJJ virtually. Yeah, you can get away with the stand-up stuff and the fitness stuff in a virtual. Incredible martial artists, great instructors have built super business the past decade or more, had to shut down or really bring their enrollment down, and they've had. It's sad. I mean, but even my Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu program. I mean, I posted a picture of us, a typical training night. 15, 14, 16 people, whatever, and it was from last year. Just a typical night. Posted a picture, and that portion of my business is gone right now. It's gone. Why?
Yeah.
Because of all the fear, all the restrictions, and instead of the healthy lifestyle being put forth and taking care of oneself, we're saying, oh, we're going to wait for a drug, wait for a vaccine, wait for something else, and sit here and hide in a corner. Well, no, I didn't. Americans don't hide. Okay, Americans don't hide. Americans go after things. Americans work hard and figure solutions, and that's what the American entrepreneur does, and that's what we do in the health industry. And you look at the people in the health and fitness industry, right? One of the reasons that we're in it is because we care about people. I mean, there's other things we could do to make more money, but hey, man, I love people. I care about people, and most people are like me in this business. And don't you think we should be leveraging that instead of suppressing it?
Yeah. Master Phil, let me ask you, your audience, and this may be difficult for you to answer, but what percentage would you say are actual school owners?
People that I don't know, maybe I have a very wide reach. 25.
Okay. And the reason I ask is, okay. The reason I asked that question is,
I know we got that little lag here.
Yeah, can you guys hear me? The reason I asked
yes.
the percentage that are school owners is there's also an opportunity, another way we're supporting you. And Master Phil, I'd invite you to know of this opportunity. Because you mentioned you do have, in some states, you have the restriction being put on you by local government, right? But there are a lot of states, Texas, here in Kansas, I could go through, a lot of states are open and their enrollment is still, and that's because students, parents, community, they're fearful, right? They don't understand how martial arts can be up to their benefit. So Kicksite has taken some initiative to help you guys too. So I want to bring your audience, make your audience aware of this, you included. If you go to thewininitiative.com and just enroll, we are producing content for you, whether it be the personal safety advantages, whether it be the physical and mental advantages. So what you're going to be able to do, Master Phil, is you're going to get an email from us periodically, and it's going to include messaging and sample templates that you can just copy and paste and share with your audience, because your enrollment's down because people are afraid. So we're equipping you with ammunition to educate your audience why they should be rushing in, not rushing out.
That is fantastic. I'm going to spread the word. I'll be signing up right after I'll be signing up, and I will be spreading the word to all my friends. I mean, I have a ton of people that I know that have schools and train and so forth, and we're going to get this word out, and we're going to get these signatures, and we're going to take this to the top, because we can't back down.
No.
And you know what? I'm also worried about.
I was just going to say, just this week,
we can't back down.
We produced an article that taught, and it's written in a way that all you have to do is copy and paste, insert your school name, but it was written in a way to be able to educate your community on how your school helps them protect themselves, how it allows them to feel safe, how it allows them to avoid purchasing a handgun as their only option. So all you have to do as an owner, we're not asking you to have to produce all this content all the time. All you got to do is review it, and if it feels in line with what you would say, just copy and paste it, send it out, and educate your community on the things you're doing to their benefit.
That's a great service. I mean, to me, that's a great service you're providing, and you know, I can't wait to just start spreading the word about this and getting as many people on board as possible. You know, so that's the WIN initiative. You know, the INI.
All right.
So it's all good.
The spell checker's not on right now. All right.
Well, you know, Jason, I want to thank you for coming on the show and and for bearing. I guess the rain out here is making a little bit of a wonky connection, but hey, hopefully it comes through good to the audience. But I want to thank you for coming on the show, and I urge everyone in the audience to get involved. Get involved. Kicksite is doing some wonderful things. The Win Initiative, this is just fantastic, and let's get on board. Let's do everything we can. We're protecting our society with our schools. We are protecting. And I'll tell you, none of my friends are afraid of teaching. I haven't been afraid of teaching. I've been there every single day. I'm not worried about it. And a lot of my friends in the martial arts feel the same way. And we're willing to face whatever we have to. And we're gonna beat this. So let's get out there. Let's get on board with this Win Initiative. Let's support Jason at Kicksite, and let's all get together and do it, guys. It's actually up to us. You know what? There's sheep, wolves, and sheepdogs. We're the sheepdogs. We have to protect our flock.
And if I can add, while we have you all here, I also want to urge you guys, and you guys run with this as well. Like, there's fact, there's science, there's stuff that you guys are doing, and we can't just, like you were saying, there's sheepdog. You just can't just blindly follow what you're told. You have to, have some congruent truth with it. You know what I mean?
Yes. Oh, no, absolutely. Shameless plugs. We have to give shameless plugs because actually the Body Bell method that's up right now, right?
Yes, it is.
Oh, see, we have a new website for the Body Bell method. It's a kettlebell bodyweight and dynamic tension certification, the only one that there is, and it's also registered by ACE. So if you're an ACE trainer, you can get your continuing education credits by taking this course, and you can do it virtually. I'll be doing some more on-site ones, but you can do it virtually right now and get your certification. Level 2 will be out in the beginning of January.
And just so you guys know, that's the bodybellmethod.com, and that just went up. So if you have a little problem, you can always also go to philross.com if you have any issues, because that's definitely working and up and running.
All right, great stuff. Okay, Jason, again, thank you very much, and we'll give you the link for the show and everything. We'll kick this out, and we're gonna really push forth on those on the wininitiative.com.
Thank you so much, guys. Keep doing what you're doing, Phil.
Yes, sir, I will. And we need people like you too. All right. This is Master Phil in your corner, signing off. Strength and honor.